We also call it first ever national conference on 21st May 2022 at Jadavpur University, Kolkata. More than 200 scholars across the country participated as delegates there. We also continued the discussion of NEP 2020 with scholars, academicians across different universities. A scholar convention was held at Jawaharlal Nehru University this year at New Delhi. Scholars from different universities across the North India participated in that convention, and now we are here at the South Zone Scholar Convention, where scholars from South Indian states are participating. We have our eminent historian, Professor R. Mahalakshmi, to inaugurate this session. It is a great pleasure for us that you travel from the northern part of India, which is Delhi, to the southern part, Trivandrum, to discuss in the impact of NEP 2020 on higher education and research. Now I invite Professor R. Mahalakshmi to inaugurate the Scholar Convention.
Let me begin by thanking the DRSO, the Democratic Research Scholars Organization, for organizing this Scholars Convention on this very, very important theme, which is the impact of NEP 2020 on higher education and research. Professor Trivandrum Banerjee, I do not know if he's joined already online. Professor Jawahar Nation, Professor Ramesh Langankar, Dr. Malavika Bini, Professor K.P. Shahji, Mr. Ardhya Das, General Secretary of the DRSO, and Mr. Akhil M., the National President of the DRSO. Why is this topic so very important to all of us? I mean, as scholars, as those who are invested in education, but also as citizens, as those who are invested in the nation and the nation building process, it is very important for us to actually look at this document. Because as the very well-known educationist Anil Sadgopal has said, this is a very deceptive document. It is a misleading document. Ostensibly, there is a great deal of good that is being projected in this particular document. And so if you look at it, it talks about how we need to provide equitable education, access to education. I mean, all of this is flagged several times in the report. But when you actually get down to the finer print, what we do find is some very, very insidious elements that are creeping into the conceptualization of Indian education itself. And this Indian education is seen in a very centralized way. There are so many bodies that are being talked of as necessary to be instituted, and these are the bodies now that are going to regulate education in the country. So while the states and the states' investment in education is something that is acknowledged, what you do find is that there is almost a kind of dictation of the path that is to be followed at the state level as well. Unfortunately for us, a lot of people are not looking at this fine print, which is why we do not have, at least in public, a lot of discussion at the state level, and therefore it is a very important event what we are having today, where we are actually focusing on the NEP, and I congratulate the DRSO for organizing this Scholars Convention. thank you very much for doing this for all of us. There are several issues that we need to flag when we are looking at the NEP 2020. The first is in terms of the goals and objectives itself. What we can see is that the ideas that are being thrown at us from political platforms by our Prime Minister, by people who are in positions of power. We have Mr. Amit Shah, we have Mr. Venkaiah Naidu, the former Vice President, so many others who congratulated the Prime Minister for overseeing something so great, they said in their public speeches. And what is this greatness that they were talking about? They are talking about the Bharatiya Karan, the Bharatiya Karanization of education. And this Indianization or Bharatiya Karanization, I'm using the term Bharatiya Karan because although in the NEP itself, the term is not quite there, what we do find is that in the public statements that have been given on the basis of the NEP, this term has been used quite clearly. What do we mean by that Bharatiya Karanization? It is a completely communal idea and representation of education in India that is being presented. We are constantly told that ancient India was where the greatest knowledge was produced. So we have reference to Charaka, we have reference to Chanakya, we have reference to all kinds of scholars, Varahamihira and so on. And all of these are primarily representing a certain kind of Sanskritic knowledge, which is rooted in that context. I don't want to go into the realities of whether there was something that was of value produced by these scholars. That is not the point. The point is, were there no other scholars? Is Indian tradition only about those who produced their knowledge in Sanskrit? Who reproduced certain values, a value system that is based on Varna and Jati, that is based on social privilege in terms of access to knowledge? Is this the only kind of past knowledge that we should try to bring back into our knowledge system? Why is the medieval period, where so much of knowledge, scientific knowledge, technological innovation, the knowledge in the realm of ideas, of philosophies, why is this not being invoked? So what we are talking about when we say Bharatiya Karan is actually a completely communal project that is being pushed through the NEP 2020. And if we don't recognize this and call it out for what it is, we are really not doing justice. We are not serving the interests of education in this country as envisaged by those who fought for India's freedom as well as those who have led India in post-independence period. For all of us who are engaged with these questions, this should be a very important point that we flag. The second interesting thing and important element of the NEP is about the structure of education, the way in which there is a certain kind of reordering and reorganizing of education that is being envisaged. Again, at a superficial level, it seems quite alright to think of it. But when we actually again go into the details of what has been provided, we see that there is this very strange way in which the school education as well as higher education is being reformulated. I'll speak of only higher education, where we are told that at the undergraduate level, we can have a 3-year or a 4-year degree that is being given. And there are exit points also at the first year and the second year. So if at the first year somebody wants to exit, it will be a diploma. I think at the second year I'm forgetting the terminology, but both these are diploma levels. And third year is when they will get a degree. The fourth year, if they do, we are told that it is equivalent to them having research experience. So as a result, what will happen, what should happen, we are told in the NEP, is that the postgraduate education also should be modified. And how should that modification happen? It should happen by reducing the term of the MA program from 2 years to 1 year for those who have done the 4-year undergraduate course. Over the past 2 years, we have been getting in my university, in JNU, students who have finished master's program of 2 years. They have done an undergraduate of 3 years, directly into the PhD. And I'm sure this is happening in other institutions. Maybe some of you have also entered into the university system like this. But I must confess to you, it has not been a happy meeting. Because for a lot of our students, even when they have studied their MA at our institution, they are not prepared for research in the PhD. And the 1 year of coursework that has currently been proposed for PhD is just not enough to adequately train them to handle all that needs to be done in research. So clearly what we are looking at is a dismantling of systems that have worked very well in terms of providing quality education, in terms of pursuing academic excellence, where we have provided the space for people from different backgrounds to enter into the university system. There is now a meddling, a fiddling with that, which is not doing any credit to higher education overall. So this is as far as the structure of education is concerned, and there are so many other issues related to the structure, like the choice-based credit system. We all know what an abysmal failure this whole system as it has been conceived is. But what is especially disturbing, and this takes me to the third point, is the way in which digitization, the online platforms, education online is being actively promoted through the NEP. So in that choice-based credit system, apparently there's some bank, virtual bank, where students are going to store their credits. And what is, it's like our cryptocurrency. So it's something out there, but we don't really know what it is. And so you have students storing their credits over there, and so they can be doing courses anywhere, and that they will be gaining credits for it. Now, in a situation where there is infrastructural parity, where there is also some degree of parity in terms of the kinds of courses that are on offer and so on, we may think of something like this. But in the current situation in India, what this is doing is really undermining the quality of education overall. This is a problem area, it's problematic as an idea, but it is something that we need to reflect on. Even if we accept that the parameters for measuring quality, etc., might need to be thought over and so on, but we still do know when we talk of institutions which offer quality education. We do know this, and I'm not merely flagging the IITs and the IIMs, which our NEP is very fond of quoting as institutes of excellence, or of Stanford and Ivy League colleges in USA. Again, they are very fond of this. In the NEP, you will find it mentioned a few times. I'm not talking of quality education in that kind, in that way. But certainly there is something to be said for the way in which some parameters have to be laid out. The corporatization of education, the kind of commercialization of education that is suggested is not merely worrying, it is dangerous. Because what it is proposing, or what is going to be the outcome of these kinds of proposals, is that the private are going to dominate the market. They are going to increase the cost of education. We are told that there will be some mechanism through which their presence will be monitored, their functioning will be monitored, but we all know how this works in real terms. And given that, there is this Adaniization and Ambaniization of everything, you can have a university of excellence without it actually existing. A Geo university without it actually existing is the top university. So we do know where this is going, and I think that it's extremely important for us to be very wary and critical and come out with our opposition to this kind of corporatization that is being proposed. There are so many other things that are very worrying about this NEP. For instance, the way in which it talks about the lateral entry of professionals into teaching, and it makes you wonder, about who and who's going to decide, how is it going to be decided, who these professors of practice are. Is it the Sadhu Maharajas who now abound all around us, who have become the founts of wisdom? Whether it is Sri Ravi Shankar, whether it is Sadhguru, I'm forgetting the name of the person who runs Patanjali. Ramdev, yeah, whether it is these people, I mean, this is a real problem. We need to think about it. They are going to come into our university system, they are going to offer courses, and maybe students are going to be coerced into opting for those courses. We all know that the coercion is not merely by pushing them in. There are so many other ways. And so it's in these ways that I think we need to see how the NEP is pushing a certain kind of agenda that has to be opposed, that we have to be vigilant. We are, and thanks to DRSO, we are actually holding this session today where other speakers are going to be talking in detail about the issues that we need to flag. I again congratulate the DRSO for holding this convention, and I look forward to the deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the valuable words. Covered all the aspects of NEP 2020 in higher education, and ma'am speak about the quality of education that need to be provided to the students. Thank you, ma'am. Now we are moving to the scholars session. The scholars can present their issues that they are facing in university. And I propose Dr. R. Vengadar, National Council member of DRSO and Telangana State Convener, to preside over the scholar session. Someone from the audience to second second. I invite someone from the audience to second it.
On behalf of this convention, I support Dr. Trivandrum, National Council of PRSU, as it is to preside a function of scholar session.
Thank you, Mehta, for secondary. Now I invite Dr. R. Vengatha to preside over the scholar session. Thank you.
Respected President of the Convention, dignitaries on the dais and after the dais, and my dear scholar friends, I welcome you all. Initially, I would like to remember the great Indian scholar, scientist, Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray. Yesterday, Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray's 88th death anniversary. We DRSO carrying Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray's vision and Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray's ideas and themes. Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray said, many occasions are there, some occasions demanded we the research scholars need to be respond, and Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray said that I will leave my institute and I can attend the call of the country. This is the Acharya Prafulla Chandra's idea and love and concern towards the country. At present condition, if we carefully see, in 1986, new education policy brought by Congress government. Policy, the floodgates opened the privatization and commercialization of education. And at present, new education policy 2020 brought by BJP government. And this is the blueprint of privatization, commercialization, centralization and communalization of the entire education and research. So with the call of Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray, we, the DRSO, shouldered the responsibilities of the entire country's research, and we raised certain demands in order to carry forward the ethics and in order to work among the research community. The 3% budget, GDP budget for research in India, and stopping disparity in fellowship and give adequate fellowship for all the research scholars, and certain demands, local demands also we are raising. The restore Maulana Azad National Fellowship and abolish mandatory teaching assistantship for scholars and professor of practice scheme. And we are also demanding stop the pseudoscience and distortion of history in the name of Indian knowledge system. In order to carry forward, in order to achieve these demands, the unity of entire research scholars is essential. In this consideration, the DRSO is organizing various seminars, discussions, debates, conventions, conferences, and etc. So with these remarks, I want to start the scholar session with the sharing opinions, experiences, and views of the scholars who are presenting in this convention from various universities across the South India. Now, let me invite Manav Shruti, Enhance, Calicut, Kerala. General Secretary, Psychology Circle. And before his presentation, I would like to invite Mr. Devakshi Gangaji sir. Please come here and present the main resolution. And after main resolution, there will be a discussion from the scholars. Mr. Devakshi Gangaji from Usmania University, Telangana, Hyderabad.
Respected dignitaries of the dais and dear delegates, I am reading the main resolution. Research is the history recognized way to investigate and establish the truth of nature and society, and it is the only means of social progress. This is one of the noblest professions, whose importance to the well-being of a society needs no elaboration. One would have expected that in an inclusive and pro-people system, the requirements for blooming of research is naturally taken care of by the government and the social condition necessary for that are nurtured upheld. Yet today we find ourselves in a situation where the whole of the society and as its integral part, the education and research are in grave crisis. For decades, the research system continued to face various issues, many of which affect the lives of research scholars and the research ambience to a very high degree of severity. The absurdly low and the persistently declining research funding in science and in particular social science. The miserly amount of fellowship given to the research scholars in the country, irregular fellowship, huge disparity among the scholars on fellowship and several other counts, lack of quality research facilities, declining access to the journals, books and data for research activities, unnecessary competition in the field of research often lead to unacceptable compromise in scientific and academic ethics, physical and mental stress, unsafe and often abusive workplace environment that even leads to the suicide of research scholars, declining scope of employment after PhD, etc. are some of the burning issues facing the research sector today. In today's age of inflation and uncertainty, many research aspirants could not even think of pursuing the noble dream because of high application fees and increasing semester and other fees in almost all institutions. We are at a stage where large number of scholars are taken in 1 or 2 years contractual use and throw basis, who in many cases don't even get their rightful payment and other benefits. The lack of employment opportunities after PhD have forced many PhD degree holders to apply for grade 4 course, which often requires an education only up to the class 8. On glaring signature of the depth and breadth of the crisis is the staggering proportion of the scholars who drop out of their research activities before completion of their PhD. The government has miserably failed in its responsibility to the research who are supposed to be one of the main architects of the future of not only the nation but of the whole mankind. However, this systematic failure is often put below the rug and a propagandized pursuit that lack of initiative from the individual researchers and their medical, academic and intellectual capacities are the root of these problems. Notwithstanding the futility of this argument, which often acts as an excuse by the policymakers, the argument itself suffers from the internal inconsistency by overlooking the very process in which the intellect is generated, motivated and nurtured in the society. Research, by its very nature, is a social progress. It is well-being and advancement is invariably dependent upon a process and not just the individual researchers. Today, the very process which has been crippled for decades is at a verge of destruction by the governmental policies of increasing privatization and rampant propagation of pseudoscience, pseudo-history in the society. The situation outlined above has been the long-standing picture of India's research and education, and it has been a long-standing requirement to undertake fundamental changes in the scenario, promising the changes towards the betterment. The new National Education Policy (NEP 2020) has been taken up by the central government. The way it was imposed through ordinance amidst the raging pandemic was nothing but a mockery of all the democratic norms and principles. And such imposition raises questions on the intent of the policy. This policy is now being implemented almost as an wartime urgency by the central and the state governments. All institutions and the regulatory bodies concerned with education are involved in a process of overhauling the existing educational research system in line with the NEP 2020. Although it is being portrayed as a long-awaited panacea to the maladies plaguing our education system, a careful examination of the policy reveals a concerning picture. Eminent educationists, teachers, and many involved in the field of education, including DRSO, opposed it ever since a draft policy was released. Yet, there is a little discussion about different aspects of the policy among the scholars and the general public who are at the receiving end of its impacts. The new policy, even in its infancy, has compounded all existing issues while adding entirely new dimensions, which deepen the crisis. The following are but a few visible effects. Point number 1. Fees for research activities increased across the country, IITs, ICERs, etc. Recently saw a steep hike in fees. Second point, declining in funding for several fellowships and scholarships. Maulana Azad National Fellowship for Minorities, pre-metric scholarship among those cancelled by the central government. Point 3, severe fund curtailment for science and social science bodies, enabling National Research Foundation (NRF) to become the main research funding agency. About that taxes GST on the procuring scientific instruments has been increased from 5% to the 18%. Point number 4. Boost for in topics like Panchagavya, astrology, promotion of pseudoscience, pseudo-history through the eminent institutions in the name of Indian knowledge system. Point number 5. Entering into the research and in a particular the grant of the fellowship only through the centralized exam like CU, ET, NET, etc. in the place of entrance exam held by the different universities, directly affecting the autonomy, diversity and independent research. Point number 6. MPhil is discontinued, implying that there is no higher degree of upper master other than PhD, meaning invaluable research experience for students. Point number 7. Weekly 4 to 6 hours teaching research assistantship mandated for all the scholars. It will put additional burden on them and paving the way for further exploitation. And is to use their intellectual and physical labor by reducing the number of permanent teaching faculty. Point number 8. UGC New Institute Development Plan creates provision for lowering teaching student ratio. Employ industry and other professionals as teachers and advocates 50% of the teachers recruitment on contractual ad hoc basis. The same is being implemented through the professors of practice scheme. The aforementioned changes are already being witnessed in practice and through the new UGC PhD regulations 2022 and are enough to underline the policy as one which is severely detrimental to the interest of higher education and research in the country. A particularly dangerous far-fetched change in the research is the way the NRF is taken up. The NRF is a new funding body that, according to this policy, will encourage the competitive research in all academic disciplines and create a niche zone among the research, policy makers and industry. According to this policy, it would work in parallel to the other independent public funding bodies like UGC, DSD, ICMR, etc. However, in reality, all such research funding bodies are systematically deprived of public funding, implying that those will be deprived of and NRF will remain as the sole centralized funding body, which is of public corporate nature by construction, that will control the entire research spectrum. Its stated goal of NRF is to facilitate grants for competitive research on most urgent national research issues. But who decide the competitiveness and most urgent national research goals and on what basis? Question mark. Looking at this trend, it is clear that the centralization of research to NRF will take the arena under the dictum of the state and corporates, spelling doom for the independent research in arts, humanities and basic science, and therefore spoiling the store of research itself. New knowledge generation and the upbringing of teachers suffers that directly affect the entire education chain. But there are more direct and far-reaching damage the policy makes in the college and university level education, which must be looked carefully with the due importance. The new policy mixes up to the curricular and extracurricular studies in the name of holistic education and interdisciplinary approach. The failed CBCS system is now reproduced in the name of liberal arts and is also extended to the schools. The examinations at different levels are being centralized through the National Testing Agency (NTA), which is gradually moving towards the centralization into a common curriculum at schools as well as higher education. The damage of which in a country of diversity like India is undeniable. The same approach is taken into research entrance as well. The policy gives special emphasis to digitalization of education. The experiments in this regard during the COVID-19 pandemic shows the futility of this approach, where in India most of the families don't have access to internet or other digital technologies, and merely 2 to 3% of students in both schools and higher education can access the means for the better utilization of digital technology. The digitalization as a part of the policy itself will certainly and only help the digital divide, privatization and centralization and make education more exclusive. Also in NEP 20, the higher education institutions, in particular the private higher education institutions, are given near complete freedom to determine fees in a section of ironically titled as curbing commercialization of education. A grave danger is lurking into the provisions of the accreditation and autonomy, regulations, and the 4-year undergraduate program. All the currently affiliated colleges are envisioned as either as a part of the university or independent degree granting bodies over next few years. This will create massive choice and discrimination as a degree will no longer carry the name and signification of the university, but it is valuably determined based on the prestige of the colleges. Moreover, the policy watching for the graded accreditation for the time being eventually aims for binary accreditation, where the accreditation will be labeled yes or no, with no implying closure. Given the present infrastructure, student-teachers ratio in most of the colleges, a massive blow the colleges received in the pandemic. And in a building funding scenario, how can a college cope up with the enforcement of the digital system and 4-year undergraduate course with research? And only few privileged institutes will survive, or the colleges that want to survive under this new accreditation regime will have to back to the corporates for funding. This will complete the privatization of higher education, reduce the number of colleges, and make higher education more distant from common people, lead to curriculum that benefits the private funders and the state regulators. And with the so-called autonomy and liberty to determine fees, the commodification of education will be complete. Further, with the provision in the UGC PhD guidelines of the direct admission to research after obtaining 75% marks in the 4-year undergraduate program, the academic relevance of the master degree is being diluted, and the space for the detailed and in-depth mature masters level training to obtain genuine knowledge of a subject and the attainment of the equivalent thinking capacities squeezed. In addition, the charges in curriculum from the school level to the research incorporating unstained content introduction to the unscientific and false ideas of astrology and Vastu in higher education, and rampant propagation of pseudoscience and pseudo-history through institutions like IITs create massive threat before the research and society. DRSO opposed the policy from the beginning. It had called for an organized protest against the disastrous policy in the first Scholars Conference held on May 21st, 2022 in Calcutta. On scholars issues and against NDP 20, Scholars Protest Week was absorbed in September 2022 as countrywide science campaign was conducted in which nearly 3,000 scholars signed, and a scholars demonstration was held at New Delhi on November 25, 2022. Subsequently, a successful scholars convention on the topic was organized in JNU, New Delhi on February 25, 2023. Responding to the call given by the DRSO research scholars from several universities and institutions across the country, absorbed May 12 as same research day. In this continuation, today we have assembled in this convention. The convention declares NDP 20 as an utterly exclusive and anti-research, anti-education policy and pledged to build up stubborn scholars movement across the country to resist the implementation of this dreaded policy. The convention voices the demands. First demand, 3% of budget for research, 10% for education. Second, high fellowship for all research scholars. Third one, give monthly fellowship in regular monthly basis. Fourth, stop disparaging fellowship and other benefits. 5. Stop pseudoscience, pseudo-history in the name of Indian knowledge. 6. Withdraw National Education Policy 2020 and appeal all research scholars, faculty, students, teachers, parents and all the education and research loving people to voice for the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Devashi. One small request to all these scholar friends. You may share your opinions and points in your local languages also. Say in Malayalam, Telugu, Kannada, Tamil, or maybe in Hindi, English. You may share your points and your opinions. No boundary in that. Now I request Manav Ji, please come here and support the main resolution.
Dr. Inauguration, President of this session, and eminent professors from different universities who are present here, my dear fellow scholars, friends, and other delegates. So, I am basically from a psychology background. 6 years ago, while doing my MPhil in clinical psychology, I had an opportunity to train myself at NIMHANS in Bangalore, which is like the prime institute in the area of psychology, especially clinical. And I was so happy to be trained there. And one thing I noticed while doing my internship at NIMHANS is that all of the scholars, be it MPhil, PhD, or doing post-graduation in psychiatry, all the scholars are taking either one or the other medicines for depression or anxiety or any other mental health problems. So I was surprised. Being a psychologist myself, I was eager to know the reason why all the scholars in one of the superior institutions in India, who are also mental health professionals, are in such a great danger of their mental health depletion. So I was able to talk to a few of the scholars there. Then after completing my course, while practicing psychology also I had noticed that many of the research scholars from different backgrounds, be it in arts or science or in technical education like engineering, there are repeated incidents of suicides being reported from all across India in institutions like Delhi University to Madras IIT to different autonomous colleges in Kerala to Karnataka to West Bengal. There has been reports of numerous issues of either scholars quitting their research because of mental health issues or committing suicide. So that triggered my enthusiasm to know what's happening in this area of research for our dear friends and scholars. So if we look closer, we can see there are many reasons on the outer surface we can point out. There are discrimination from gender and their sexuality and their socioeconomic status, their caste. There are discriminations and struggles based on financial disparity. There are a lot of issues. But if we look closer, I'm pretty sure that we can draw conclusions that all these problems are somehow related to the policies or central or state government is following. That was surprising to me at first. But if you observe the history of educational reforms starting from 86 in India, we can see that the education sector has changed drastically in the area of primary education, secondary education and in research based on different policies that our central and state governments make. The point I was mentioning here was, why are our scholars mentally affected so much? Is it the pressure of research or is it the pressure of something else? Basically, there are so many things going on in a research institute. There are interdepartmental issues. There are competition between faculty members. There are competition between scholars. There are very scarce amount of scholarship provided to them. There are so many issues. But why is this happening? Research is one of the most important areas of development in any country. So why are our scholars suffering while making our nation better? So the point is that starting from the 90s itself, or even before that, the government has decided to take their hands off education, and they have brought different policies to privatize the education sector in India. Both central governments and state governments have made such drastic changes in these education policies. As a result, so many reforms have made in education sector which make evident competition and discrimination among students and teachers. So we all know that scarcity is the mother of all competition. Scarcity is the mother of all discrimination. So there has been a very unhealthy competition among scholars and students and between scholars and faculty members to survive in this field of education and research. This is not limited to be scholars or students. This is also applicable to the faculty members, teachers, starting from primary level. So in Kerala, we know that government, LDF government, the CPM-led LDF government has made huge decisions to implement different aspects of NEP in our state. We all are familiar with the actions the government has taken to implement the 4-year degree course in Kerala. We are talking about implementing 4-year degree course in Kerala, while in Delhi University they have decided to eliminate studies of Mahatma Gandhi or impacts of Maulana Azad from the 3-year program to shift it to the 4th year of 4-year degree course. So there are additions and deletions happening in the syllabus itself. And that is the time where the government, the left government is implementing NEP in Kerala. So my point is that the problems we face in the area of research and higher studies has started long way before NEP 2020 was drafted. But when the central government was telling us that we need a very thorough and revolutionary drastic changes in the Department of Education in India, we were hoping that we will get more funding to have more departments and to strengthen our researchers. We will have very scientific and democratic curriculum or course programs in our colleges. We will have scientific and free education for all on the school level. These were our expectations when a new education policy was being drafted. But unfortunately, killing all our dreams, the central government was preparing something which is the final nail to the coffin of our education system in India. So basically, they have decided to cut down programs that are not profitable. They have decided to not fund the researchers that are fundamental in the area of science, literature, and other arts. They have decided to, terminate UGC, and they have decided to create a very undemocratic body called NRF to fund the basic researchers in our field. So from now on, you will get funds for the research only if it is a profitable one, only if it can be associated with a company or any private sector where there are practical applications, technical applications of your research which can be commercialized, which can be sold and make profit out of it. So what will be the future of research in the area of languages? Malayalam, English, Tamil, Hindi, even Sanskrit. They have allocated about 8,000 crores for the development of Sanskrit in India. But we, from our personal experience, know that teachers who are in the Department of Sanskrit are facing very huge difficulties in practice. Most of the institutes in Kerala have only single faculty for languages like second languages like Sanskrit or Hindi, and they are decided to shut down these departments and cut their funds. So this is a practical scenario we face in the face of research and studies in higher education sector. So കേരളത്തിലെ സവിശേഷ സാഹചര്യം ഞാൻ ഇതിനോടകം തന്നെ സൂചിപ്പിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞു. LDF ഗവൺമെൻറ് ഒരു ഇടതുപക്ഷ സർക്കാർ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു വന്നതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ രാജ്യത്തെ വേറെ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു സംസ്ഥാനത്ത് കൊണ്ടുവരുന്നതിനേക്കാൾ കൂടുതൽ NEP ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻസ് നടത്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ സംസ്ഥാനത്തിലാണ്. വളരെ വേഗത്തിലാണ് മുഴുവൻ അക്കാഡമിയിൽ നിന്നുള്ള റെസിസ്റ്റൻസ് വകവയ്ക്കാതെയാണ് കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം 4-year degree courses കേരളത്തിൽ ഇംപ്ലിമെന്റ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് തീരുമാനിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. There are other problems also we face in the area of research and higher education. So basically, DRSO has put forward these demands which are very genuine, very reasonable. നമ്മൾ വളരെ കാലമായിട്ട് വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ മേഖലയിൽ ആവശ്യപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. GDP-യുടെ 3%, ബജറ്റിന്റെ 3%, റിസർച്ചിനും 10%, വിദ്യാഭ്യാസത്തിനും വേണ്ടി മാറ്റിവെക്കുക, സ്കോളേഴ്സിന്റെ ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് ഉയർത്തുക. നമുക്കറിയാം റിസർച്ച് ഹാസ് ബിക്കം ആൻ എക്സ്പെൻസീവ് തിങ് in this country, and most of the scholars are getting only very nominal amount of scholarships, like few thousands, and which is not enough even for the basic requirements of the scholars. അപ്പോൾ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള സാഹചര്യത്തിൽ റിസർച്ചിന് വേണ്ടി കൂടുതൽ ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് അലോക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുക, ആ ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് എല്ലാ മാസവും വളരെ കൃത്യമായിട്ട് കിട്ടുക തുടങ്ങിയ വളരെ റീസണബിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആവശ്യങ്ങളാണ് DRSO മുന്നോട്ട് വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. നമുക്കറിയാം ഈ മൾട്ടിപ്പിൾ എൻട്രി എക്സിറ്റ് ഓപ്ഷൻസ് ഡിഗ്രി ലെവലിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവന്നപ്പോൾ even some of the professors we met as part of this campaigning for this convention, they have mentioned that it is a very good move to allow the students to have multiple entries and exits, because അവർക്ക് ഇപ്പോൾ ജീവിതത്തിൽ ഒരു ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് നേരിടുകയാണെങ്കിൽ കുറച്ച് നാൾ പഠനത്തിൽ നിന്ന് വിട്ടു നിന്ന് അവരുടെ ജീവൻ നിലനിർത്താൻ ആവശ്യമായിട്ട് ഒരു ജോലിക്ക് പോകേണ്ടി വരികയാണെങ്കിൽ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ആളുകൾക്ക് റിസർച്ച് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ബേസിക് ഹയർ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്യാൻ ഒരു ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റി ആവുന്നത് എന്നാണ് അവർ നിർദ്ദേശിച്ചത്. നമ്മളുടെ ചോദ്യം, എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു സാഹചര്യം ഉള്ളത്? How come there is a necessity for scholars to stop their researches and studies and go for a job to earn very little amount to survive themselves, for the survival of their families? അപ്പം നമ്മളുടെ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ മേഖലയിൽ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നവരെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മളുടെ ഗവേഷകരെ സംരക്ഷിക്കേണ്ട ഉത്തരവാദിത്തമാക്കാണ്. അവരുടെ ഗവേഷണത്തിന്റെ ഫലം സമൂഹം മൊത്തത്തിലാണ് അനുഭവിക്കുന്നത് എന്നിരിക്കെ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസത്തിന്റെ ഉത്തരവാദിത്വം ഇപ്പോഴും നമ്മുടെ രാജ്യത്ത് സർക്കാരിനാണ് എന്നിരിക്കെ എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾക്ക് വളരെ തുച്ഛമായ തുകയ്ക്ക് പണിയെടുക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി കോളേജ് പഠനം ഇറക്കി വെച്ച് നിർത്തേണ്ടി വരുന്നത്? That is the real question we should ask. While they are campaigning that this could provide education for all, this could give more opportunities for research, and this would make the research more easier, they are actually cutting down, they are stopping fellowships like Maulana and cutting down other research funds. This has been happening for a long time, and it is going to be magnified with the total implementation of NEP 2020. So for all these reasons, I wholeheartedly second this main resolution being presented in this session, and I request all of the research scholars and teachers sitting in this hall to pledge their solemn support to the host and to resist the total implementation of NEP 2020 in India. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mano, for seconding the main resolution, and also special thanks to you for focusing various problems of scholars across the country. Thank you very much. And here I listed a few scholars for the discussion sake. Even after completion of them, then other scholars also can join and they can speak their opinions and views. Now I request Sai Kumar, Mr. Sai Kumar from Usmania University, Hyderabad, Telangana.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good morning, sir. I tell you, I can speak in Telugu. Okay, little bit of English. ఏమంటే మన స్టూడెంట్స్ ఆల్సో రీసెర్చ్ చేసినప్పుడు ఏమైందంటే ఫేసింగ్ ఫర్ సమ్ ఎగ్జామ్ ఇష్యూస్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ సిస్టమ్ ఇస్ నాట్ ప్రాపర్లీ వర్కింగ్. సమ్ ఇష్యూస్ ఆర్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్లో చాలా వర్కింగ్ ఉండడం వల్ల పిల్లలు సఫర్ అవుతున్నారు. ఎలా అంటే ఎగ్జామ్ రాస్తారు కదా, సిఎస్ఐ నెట్ జేఆర్ వీళ్ళు రాసేటప్పుడు ఏమైందంటే ఎగ్జామ్ రాసేటప్పటికి వాళ్ళ సిస్టమ్ ప్రాపర్గా లేదు. అక్కడ ఏమైందంటే అయ్యా డిజిటల్స్లో క్లీన్గా ఉండవు, సిస్టమ్ కూడా ప్రాపర్గా పనిచేయలేదు. అలాగే ఫీజెస్, నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ ఫీజెస్ జనరల్ ఆర్ ఓబీసీ ఈజ్ ఇంక్రీజింగ్ ఫీజింగ్ ఇన్ 50 rupees or 100 rupees is increasing. Not providing for proper system, not providing for properly students is examining in 6 months. CSI net also, CSI net is using in at least yearly twice, but he can COVID, after COVID is choosing in yearly once ఈజ్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ పీపుల్స్ ఆర్ ఇంక్రీజింగ్. పీపుల్స్ అనేది ఎక్కువ మంది అవుతారు. అలాగే చూసుకున్నట్లయితే కాంపిటీషన్ కూడా హెవీ కాంపిటీషన్లో కట్ ఆఫ్ అనేది ఇంక్రీజింగ్ చేయడం వల్ల స్టూడెంట్స్ అనేది చాలా సఫర్ అవుతున్నారు. అదొకటి. ఇంకోటి పీజీ తర్వాత ఆఫ్టర్ పీజీ ఈజ్ డూయింగ్ ఇన్ జాబ్, నాట్ ఏ కంప్లీట్లీ రీసెర్చ్ సైడ్. ఈజ్ డూయింగ్ ఇస్ వర్కింగ్, ఈజ్ ప్రిఫర్ టు డూయింగ్ వర్క్ వాట్ ఎవర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ వర్కింగ్, not a properly. I am doing in working is not a teaching. Is it properly increasing our amount ఎలా వస్తుంది, how to become a increasing amount, ఎలా అమౌంట్ ఎక్కువ సంపాది అనే ఉద్దేశంతో ఐటీ సైడ్ వెళ్తున్నారు, నాట్ ప్రాపర్లీ.
Thank you, Sai. Just now Ajit suggested me to translate in English. In a brief. Sai pointed out the condition of the research scholar, particularly in Telangana universities. The scholarship or stipend will be very less in amount, in between 8,000 to 10,000 in university level. So what the scholars are doing is they are doing some other jobs, say in a school teacher job, lecturer job, or in a coaching center, and etc. So his point is university level, irrespective of any other qualifications, the stipend or scholarship amount should be high. And another point is in Telangana universities, the research point of, if you see the research point, means the laboratory equipments, say the provision of the infrastructure, the equipment, machinery, apparatus, and books, library, and etc. That is not at all sufficient for the research scholars. So the infrastructure arrangement and enhancement of the quality of infrastructure should also be need to add in our demand. That is his point. Thank you, Saitama, for your opinion. And now let me invite Lokesh Kumar from Trivandrum University, Karnataka. Later he may join with us. Let me invite Gauri Nambaduri. Later she will join with us. Shruti R, Malayalam University, Kerala. Shruti.
എൻ്റെ പേര് ശ്രുതി. ഞാൻ എഴുത്തച്ഛൻ മലയാള സർവകലാശാലയിൽ ആണ് വരുന്നത്. ഇവിടെ നേരത്തെ തന്നെ കൃഷ്ണനാഥും മറ്റു കുറച്ചുപേരും സംസാരിച്ചിരുന്നു. റിസർച്ച് മേഖലയിലുള്ള വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾ, സ്കോളേഴ്സ് പലതരത്തിലുള്ള പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ അഭിമുഖീകരിക്കുന്നതുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് ഞങ്ങളുടെ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിലും യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ നേരിട്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ഒന്നാമത്തെ ഒരു പ്രതിസന്ധി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ റിസർച്ച് സ്കോളേഴ്സിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് ഏറ്റവും ബേസിക്കലി കിട്ടേണ്ടുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യമാണ് അവർക്ക് കിട്ടേണ്ടുന്ന ഫെലോഷിപ്പ്. അത് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി കൊടുക്കാറേ ഇല്ല. മന്ത്ലി യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് കൊടുക്കണം എന്ന് പറയുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിലും പലപ്പോഴും അതിനുവേണ്ടി പുറകെ നടന്ന് നമുക്ക് വെച്ചാൽ നമ്മുടെ ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ കൊടുക്കുന്നു. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് ഒരു മാസത്തെ ഒരു 2 മാസം കഴിഞ്ഞ് ചിലപ്പോൾ അടുത്ത മാസമൊക്കെ ആയിട്ടായിരിക്കും നമ്മുടെ ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് കിട്ടുന്നത്. അത്തരത്തിൽ ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് കൃത്യമായി കിട്ടാത്തൊരു സാഹചര്യമുണ്ട്. പ്രതിസന്ധികൾ വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് പകുതിയാക്കുക, അതുപോലുള്ള പ്രതിസന്ധികളും നമ്മുടെ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ അഭിമുഖീകരിക്കുകയാണ്. പലപ്പോഴും വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾ അതിനുവേണ്ടി സമരം ചെയ്യുകയും ഒക്കെ ചെയ്താലേ ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് കിട്ടുള്ളൂ. നമ്മൾ സമരം ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിനെതിരെ പ്രതിഷേധിക്കേണ്ടുന്ന ഒരു സാഹചര്യത്തിലേക്ക് ആക്കി കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടേ നമുക്ക് ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് കിട്ടുള്ളൂ എന്നൊരു സാഹചര്യമുണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെയാണ് അവിടെ വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ അധ്യാപകരെ സംബന്ധിച്ചും ഒരു പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട പ്രശ്നം അവിടെയുള്ള ബേസിക് ഫെസിലിറ്റിയാണ്. ഇൻഫ്രാസ്ട്രക്ചർ ഉൾപ്പെടെയുള്ള ഫെസിലിറ്റീസ് ഇല്ല എന്നുള്ളൊരു സാഹചര്യമുണ്ട്. മലയാള സർവകലാശാല 10 വർഷമായി തുടങ്ങിയിട്ട് അത് ഇതുവരെ അതിന് സ്വന്തമായിട്ട് കെട്ടിടം പോലും ഇല്ല യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ. ഇപ്പോഴാണ് അതിനുള്ള സ്വന്തം കെട്ടിടം പോലും നിർമ്മിച്ച് തുടങ്ങിയിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഉള്ള കെട്ടിടത്തിനകത്ത് തന്നെ പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് റിസർച്ച് സ്കോളേഴ്സിന്റെ ബ്ലോക്ക് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഒട്ടും ഇടയ്ക്ക് ഇടിഞ്ഞു പൊളിഞ്ഞ് വീഴും, പിന്നെ അത് വീണ്ടും റീസ്ട്രക്ചർ ചെയ്യും, അത്തരത്തിലാണ് പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. പലപ്പോഴും വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾ ഇല്ലാത്തപ്പോഴാണ് ഈ പ്രതിസന്ധി ഉണ്ടായിട്ടില്ല എന്നുള്ളത്. വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾക്ക് അപകടമൊന്നും സംഭവിച്ചിട്ടില്ല. പക്ഷെ അത് അത്തരത്തിൽ ഒരു ഉറപ്പില്ലാത്തൊരു ബിൽഡിങ്ങിലാണ് റിസർച്ച് സ്കോളേഴ്സിന്റെ ബിൽഡിംഗ് നടക്കുന്നത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ അധ്യാപകരെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് അവർക്ക് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് അവർക്ക് നല്ല ഫെസിലിറ്റി ഉണ്ടാകുമ്പോഴാണ് നമുക്കും കൂടെ അതിനുള്ള ഗുണമുണ്ടാകുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ അവർക്കും അത്യാവശ്യത്തിന് മേശയോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സൗകര്യമുള്ള ഒരു ക്യാബിനോ പോലും ഇല്ലാത്തൊരു സാഹചര്യമാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ശരിക്കും ചില സമയങ്ങളിൽ നമുക്ക് ഉള്ള പരിഗണന പോലും അധ്യാപകർക്ക് കിട്ടുന്നില്ലല്ലോ എന്ന് തന്നെ നമുക്ക് തോന്നുന്ന സാഹചര്യമാണ്. അപ്പം അതുപോലെ തന്നെയാണ് വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചും എപ്പോഴും പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് നമ്മുടെ റിസർച്ച് മേഖലയിൽ ഇരിക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് നിരവധിയായിട്ടുള്ള പരിപാടികൾ നമുക്ക് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ സംഘടിപ്പിക്കേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള സെമിനാറുകളും ടോക്കുകളും ഒക്കെ നടക്കേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. പക്ഷേ അത്തരത്തിൽ വളരെ വിശാലമായിട്ടുള്ള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സർവകലാശാല എന്നൊരു സംവിധാനത്തെ കുറിച്ച് നമ്മൾ ആഗ്രഹിച്ച് ഒരു പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് മലയാളം സർവകലാശാല എന്ന പേരിൽ തന്നെ ഒരു സർവകലാശാലയിൽ പോകുന്ന സമയത്ത് നമ്മൾ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നത് പോലുള്ളൊരു സർവകലാശാലയുടെ ഒരു രീതിക്കനുസരിച്ച് നമുക്ക് ഒരിക്കലും ആക്സെപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റാത്തൊരു രീതിയാണ് പലപ്പോഴും കണ്ടുവരുന്നത്. നമുക്കൊരു പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടാകുമ്പോൾ അവിടുത്തെ യൂണിയനോട് പറയുന്നു, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അങ്ങനെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ ഒരു പ്രശ്നം നമ്മൾ പരിഹരിച്ചു പോകുമ്പോൾ അടുത്ത പ്രശ്നം വന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കും. അത്തരത്തില് നമ്മളുടെ ഒരു മാനസികാവസ്ഥ വളരെ പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ഒരു കാര്യമാണ് റിസർച്ച് മേഖലയിൽ. അത് ഓരോ പ്രതിസന്ധികൾ ഉണ്ടാക്കിക്കൊണ്ട് നമുക്ക് കൂടുതൽ പ്രഷറായിട്ട് ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന തരത്തിലേക്കാണ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിലുള്ള സംവിധാനങ്ങൾ മാറിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഇപ്പൊ നേരത്തെ സംസാരിച്ച പാനലിലൂടെയൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് അവരുടെ മാനസിക നില വളരെ പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ഒരു കാര്യമാണ്. അതിനെ തകർക്കുന്ന തരത്തിൽ പല രീതിയിലുള്ള പ്രതിസന്ധികളും യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി ഉണ്ടാക്കിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പൊ പലപ്പോഴും റിസർച്ച് സ്കോളേഴ്സിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് ഇത് നമ്മളൊരു പ്രത്യേക തീരുമാനം എടുത്തിട്ടാണ് നമുക്ക് നമ്മുടെ സമൂഹത്തിന് കുറച്ച് ഫ്രൂട്ട്ഫുൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് ആഗ്രഹിച്ചാണ് നമ്മൾ ഓരോരുത്തരും റിസർച്ച് മേഖലയിലേക്ക് പോകുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ ഇത് എങ്ങനെയെങ്കിലും തീർത്ത് പോയാൽ മതി, എങ്ങനെയെങ്കിലും അവസാനിപ്പിച്ചൊരു പ്രബന്ധം അവതരിപ്പിച്ചാൽ പോവാം എന്നുള്ള നിലയിലേക്ക് നമ്മളെ ചിന്തിപ്പിക്കുന്ന തരത്തിലുള്ള പല നടപടികളുമാണ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയുടെ ഭാഗത്തു നിന്നുണ്ടാകുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ അത് ശരിക്കും പരിഹരിക്കപ്പെടേണ്ടതാണ്. പക്ഷേ പലപ്പോഴും റിസർച്ച് വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് അത്തരത്തിലുള്ളൊരു യൂണിറ്റി എപ്പോഴും ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു സാഹചര്യമില്ല. പലതരത്തിലുള്ള പ്രതിസന്ധികളിൽ നിൽക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ളതുകൊണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഇത്തരത്തിൽ DRSയുടെ നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ ഇങ്ങനൊരു കൂട്ടായ്മ ഉണ്ടാവുകയും അതിൻ്റെ ഈ ഒരു കൂട്ടായ്മയുടെ നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ നമുക്ക് ഒരുമിച്ച് പ്രവർത്തിക്കാനും കഴിയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഈ പലതരത്തിലുള്ള വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾ നേരിടുന്ന പലതരത്തിലുള്ള പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾക്ക് പരിഹാരം ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ പറ്റും എന്നാണ് വിചാരിക്കുന്നത്.
Ajit can translate.
What she was telling, she is from Malayalam, Malayalam University. It is in Thiru. Malayalam University is also facing a lot of issues. Monthly fellowship is pending. It keeps pending for month, and also in some month there has a fellowship cut that is also happened, and they had to protest for sometimes they had to protest for the fellowship also, and she mentioned about the infrastructure facilities that are available to the scholars. The building that the scholars that are they are occupying is in a dangerous condition. It may collapse at any time. But the same issue is with the faculties also. They don't even have a proper facility there. And she also talked about the mental ability to deal with the and and also she mentioned about the scholars unity, and there should be a unified force to live these issues that are here.
Thank you, Raju. Thank you, Raju. Now I invite Siva Prakash, the College, Madurai. Please come here and place your opinion. And my dear friends, we are noting down all your suggestions and developments, and we are incorporating to the main resolution for future course of action. Thank you.
Good afternoon to respected speakers and research scholars gathered here. I am Siva Prakash, a research scholar from Tamil Nadu. I am not very well in English and have no experience in speaking in front of gatherings. So I beg you to forgive my fluency issues. The scholars talked before identified many issues and difficulties met by research scholars nowadays. I want to share something what I observe and feel as a research scholar. First, I observe that many of my colleges, research scholars involved in their research without a peaceful mind. Either one getting fellowship stipend or not, they are in stress of thinking about what is next after PhD. After PhD completion, we have both things are there. One is a conclusion for our research hypothesis, and another a big question mark about career employment. Me and my friend too sometimes talk like that. We have to prepare for competitive exams like SSC, RRB, and vice versa to answer that question mark. Because our governments fail to employ research scholars in an adequate level. For instance, as a research scholar in Tamil language, we have a major employment opportunity in teaching field only. But in our state, it always remains as a severe crisis. Many of our state institutions, out of 10, you find only 2 or permanent teaching staff, and other 8 are either guest lecturers or visiting faculties. They give scholars an insecure and temporary employment opportunity only. Next, disparity and inadequate in research fellowships. Basically, research scholars are in the age of carrying responsibilities for the family and society, in socially, economically and socially. Involved in research efficiently, we have to sacrifice our job opportunities, and hence there comes a lackness in economical fulfillment. Scholarship stipends are given with the main objective of fulfilling scholars' economic needs, not wholly but even partially to make him involve efficiently in his research work. But nowadays the fund given to them are low and inadequate. Both the central government and state governments didn't give face to these issues. Disparity is another issue. For instance, in my institution, one scholar gets 31,000 per month under net AR, and another gets just 6,000 per month under state government scheme. That is 1/5 of the first one. No one can evaluate both scholars or their research works as higher or lower. Both of them are best in their own research. But there is a disparity abuse. Not only to central, we also have to demand for clearance of our issues to the state government too. Sometimes universities take more time, more than a year to complete the registration process for research scholars. This makes huge gap between date of joining and the date of registration. Many of the scholars get approved only after registration. This makes many scholars stressful, and this issue also have to be cleared. We have to gather top
spread more and more about our issues for not only for us but also for upcoming scholars too. I thank DRSO for this opportunity and everyone here for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Prakash. Actually, you focused the practical and the real problems of the scholars, not only in local level but also in national level. Thank you so much. Now I invite Lakshmi Arstraker from Kerala University.
വേദിയിലും സദസ്സിനുമുള്ള റിസർച്ച് മേഖല ശരിക്കും കഴിഞ്ഞ കുറച്ച് നാളുകളായി വലിയ തോതിലുള്ള മാറ്റത്തെ അഭിമുഖീകരിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇപ്പം ദേശീയ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയം വന്നതോടുകൂടി ഒരുപാട് മാറ്റങ്ങൾ ഈ മേഖലയിൽ വന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. ഞാൻ കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ റിസർച്ച് തുടങ്ങിയിട്ട് 1.5 വർഷം. ആയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇതിനോടകം തന്നെ ഞങ്ങൾ കഴിഞ്ഞ ബാച്ച് 2021 ബാച്ച് മുതലാണ് ശരിക്കും ഈ മാറ്റങ്ങൾ ഫീൽ ചെയ്ത് തുടങ്ങിയത്. കാരണം NEP-യുടെ പ്രാവർത്തികമാക്കുന്ന ഒരവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് വന്നത് ഈ കാലഘട്ടത്തിലാണ്. പ്രോഗ്രാം ആയിട്ടാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ റിസർച്ച് കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ നടന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. പഴയത്തിൽ വ്യത്യസ്തമായിട്ട്. അപ്പം ഓരോ വർഷവും നമ്മൾ ഒരു കമ്മിറ്റിയെ നിയോഗിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് അതിലേക്ക് കൂടുതൽ നടപ്പിലാക്കി വരുന്നതേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഓരോ വർഷവും ഒരു പ്രത്യേക കമ്മിറ്റി വെച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നമ്മുടെ ഇത് വിലയിരുത്താൻ, റിസർച്ചിൻ്റെ പ്രോഗ്രസ് വിലയിരുത്താൻ എന്നുള്ള പേരിൽ ഒരു കമ്മിറ്റി, അത് നമ്മുടെ വിഷയവുമായിട്ട് യാതൊരു ബന്ധവും ഇല്ലാത്ത കുറച്ച് പേര് പിന്നെ ഗൈഡും ചേർന്നുള്ള കമ്മിറ്റിയെ വെച്ചുകൊണ്ട്. അപ്പം കുറേ പേര് ഈ ഫീൽഡിൽ നിന്ന് തന്നെ ഔട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പ്രോസസ്സാണ് ഞങ്ങൾ അതിനോട് മനസ്സിലാക്കിയത്. അതോടൊപ്പം തന്നെ ടീച്ചിങ് എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട്, ടീച്ചിങ് അസിസ്റ്റന്റ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് റിസർച്ച് ഫെലോസിനെ വെച്ചുകൊണ്ട് പല യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റികളിലും പഠിപ്പിക്കുക, വർക്ക് ലോഡ് കൊടുത്തുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ പഠിപ്പിക്കുക എന്നുള്ളൊരു മാറ്റം ഈ മേഖലയിൽ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇപ്പം ഞാൻ റിസർച്ച് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന എൻ്റെ കോളേജിലും ഈ ഒരു അവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് വന്നിരുന്നു. പക്ഷേ ഞങ്ങൾ റിസർച്ച് സ്കോളേഴ്സ് തന്നെ അങ്ങനെ വർക്ക് ലോഡ് വെച്ച് പഠിപ്പിക്കേണ്ട, അതിനുള്ള താല്പര്യമില്ല എന്നുള്ളത് അറിയുകയും അങ്ങനെ കമ്പനി ചെയ്തില്ല എന്നുള്ളത് കൊണ്ട് അത് നടപ്പിലാക്കിയില്ല. പക്ഷെ എങ്കിലും സഹായം എന്നുള്ള നിലയ്ക്ക് എടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, ടീച്ചേഴ്സിനെ സഹായിക്കാൻ എന്നുള്ള പേരിൽ പലരും എടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ കാലടി യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ ഇത്തരത്തിൽ വർക്ക് ലോഡ് കൊടുത്തുകൊണ്ട് ഗസ്റ്റ് അധ്യാപകരെ പിരിച്ചു വിട്ടുകൊണ്ട് റിസർച്ച് സ്കോളേഴ്സിനെ കൊണ്ട് ടീച്ചിങ് നടത്തുക എന്നുള്ള വ്യവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. വലിയൊരു 3 ഇതിലൂടെയാണ് അത് മാറ്റിയെടുത്തത്. അവിടുത്തെ റിസർച്ച് സ്കോളേഴ്സും സംഘടിച്ചു, ഗസ്റ്റ് അധ്യാപകരും സംഘടിക്കുന്ന ഒരവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതേപോലെ ഈ 4 ഇയർ എൻ്റെ ഒരു സുഹൃത്തായിട്ടുള്ള റിസർച്ച് സ്കോളർ ആര്യ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ കുട്ടി പറഞ്ഞത് 11 വർഷം എടുത്തിട്ടാണ് റിസർച്ച് എന്നുള്ള ഒരു പക്വതയിലേക്ക് ആ കുട്ടി എത്തിയത്. നമ്മൾ ഓരോരുത്തരും അങ്ങനെയാണ് എത്തുന്നത്. പഠനകാലം എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ആ ഒരു അതിലൂടെ കടന്നു വരുമ്പോഴാണ് റിസർച്ച് എന്നുള്ളൊരു പക്വതയിലേക്ക് എത്തുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു പക്വത ആർജിച്ച് റിസർച്ചിലേക്ക് കടന്ന് വളരെ ഗൗരവത്തോടുകൂടി ഗവേഷണം നടത്തുന്ന ഒരവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് വരണം. പക്ഷേ 4 വർഷം കോഴ്സിലൂടെ സംഭവിക്കുന്നത് ആർക്കും 4 വർഷം കഴിഞ്ഞ് വളരെ കുറച്ച് പേരെ ഈ ഫീൽഡിലേക്ക് വരുള്ളൂ എന്നുള്ളൊരു യാഥാർത്ഥ്യമാണ്. വരുന്നവർക്ക് പോലും വേണ്ടത്ര ഗൗരവമായി റിസർച്ച് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഒരവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് അവർ എത്തുന്നില്ല, അതിനുള്ള ഭാഗമാകുന്നില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ് അവസ്ഥ. വളരെ ദുഃഖത്തോടു കൂടിയാണ്. എൻ്റെ 11 വർഷം എടുത്തിട്ടാണ് ഞാൻ ഈ ഫീൽഡിലേക്ക് വന്നത്. പക്ഷേ ഇപ്പോൾ 4 വർഷം കൊണ്ട് റിസർച്ച് നടത്താമെന്നുള്ള അവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് വരുമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കുട്ടി വളരെ വിഷമത്തോടു കൂടിയാണ് പറഞ്ഞത്. ഒരു അനുഭവം പങ്കുവച്ചതേ ഉള്ളൂ. അതോടൊപ്പം തന്നെ ഗ്രാൻഡിൻ്റെ കാര്യം ഇവിടെ സൂചിപ്പിച്ചു. ഗ്രാൻഡ് നമ്മുടെ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിലാണ് അത്യാവശ്യം കുറച്ച് ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് കിട്ടുന്നത്. വെറും 13,000 രൂപയാണ്. ഞങ്ങൾ മലയാളം റിസർച്ച് സ്കോളേഴ്സിൻ്റെ ഒരു അവസ്ഥ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നിരവധി പുസ്തകങ്ങൾ വാങ്ങേണ്ടി വരും. അതേപോലെ ദൂരെ നിന്നാണ് യാത്ര ചെയ്ത് വരുന്നത്. പല ലൈബ്രറികളും കേരളത്തിലെ വിവിധ പ്രദേശങ്ങളിൽ ലൈബ്രറികളുണ്ട്, അവിടെ എല്ലാം പോകണം. പിന്നെ നമുക്ക് മറ്റ് സംവേദകരും ആവേദകരും ഒക്കെ നമ്മൾ കാണേണ്ടിയില്ല. അങ്ങനെ നിരവധി പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ ഇതുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് നടത്തേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. നിരവധി സെമിനാറുകൾ എടുക്കണം, പേപ്പർ പബ്ലിക്കേഷൻ, അങ്ങനെ ഒരുപാട് സംഗതികളുണ്ട്. എല്ലാവർക്കും ഉള്ളതാണ് എങ്കിൽ പോലും ലാംഗ്വേജ് എടുത്തിട്ടുള്ളത് പ്രത്യേകമായിട്ട് പുസ്തകങ്ങൾ വാങ്ങേണ്ടി വരും. പക്ഷേ കേവലം 13,000 രൂപ മാത്രം ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് കൊടുത്തിട്ട് അത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരവസ്ഥ ഇല്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ് വസ്തുത. ഗ്രാൻഡ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് കേരള സർക്കാർ ഒരു ഗ്രാൻഡ് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ അതും ഈ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ 1.5 വർഷം കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടൊക്കെയാണ് അത് അനുവദിച്ച് കിട്ടുന്നത്. മാത്രമല്ല ഇതിനു വേണ്ടിയുള്ള പ്രൊസീജിയർ എല്ലാ വർഷവും 5 വർഷമാണ് PhD. പക്ഷേ ഓരോ വർഷവും ഒരു 10-11 പേപ്പറുകൾ റെഡിയാക്കി കൊടുത്താൽ മാത്രമേ ഫെലോഷിപ്പിനുള്ള അംഗീകാരം പോലും കിട്ടത്തുള്ളൂ. അതിനുശേഷം നമ്മൾ ഫെലോഷിപ്പിനുള്ള ബാക്കി പ്രോസസ്സ് ചെയ്യണം, മന്ത്ലിയുള്ള അറ്റൻഡൻസ് കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ഉൾപ്പെടെ. അപ്പോൾ ഇങ്ങനെ ഈ പ്രോസസ്സിന് വേണ്ടി തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ സമയം നഷ്ടപ്പെടുത്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുക. ഇങ്ങനെ നിരവധി പ്രശ്നങ്ങളാണ് ഈ ഫീൽഡിൽ വന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. മാത്രമല്ല മലയാളം ലാംഗ്വേജ്, പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് ലാംഗ്വേജ് വിഷയങ്ങളിൽ ഇപ്പം മലയാള അക്ഷര പഠനം പോലും പുതിയ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ പദ്ധതിയിൽ വേണ്ടാത്തൊരവസ്ഥയിലാണ് പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പം നമ്മുടെ ലാംഗ്വേജിനെ പോലും, മലയാളം മാതൃഭാഷയെ പോലും അതിൽ ഗവേഷണങ്ങൾ ഗൗരവത്തോടു കൂടി ഉണ്ടാക്കാനുള്ള സാധ്യത തന്നെ ഇല്ലാതാക്കിക്കൊണ്ടാണ് പുതിയ പാഠ്യപദ്ധതി കടന്നു വരുന്നത്. അപ്പം ഇത്തരത്തിൽ ഒരുപാട് മാറ്റങ്ങൾ വരുന്നു, ഒരുപാട് പ്രതിസന്ധികൾ ഈ റിസർച്ച് ഫീൽഡിൽ വരുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ എന്തായാലും DRSO ഇത്തരത്തിൽ ഒരു അനാഥരായിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു അവസ്ഥയിലായിരുന്നു സത്യത്തിൽ റിസർച്ച് സ്കോളേഴ്സ്. ആരും ചോദിക്കാനും പറയാനും ഇല്ലാത്തൊരവസ്ഥയായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ എന്തായാലും ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു മാറ്റം ഈ റിസർച്ച് സ്കോളേഴ്സ് ഇത്തരത്തിൽ കൂടാനും ഇത്തരം കൂടാനും ഒരു ഇതിനെതിരെ ഒരുമിച്ച് നിൽക്കണമെന്നുള്ള തോന്നലുണ്ടാവാനൊക്കെ നന്നായിട്ടുണ്ട്. എന്തായാലും നല്ലൊരു അനുഭവമാണ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് എനിക്ക് ഈ DRSOയുടെ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളിൽ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ സുഹൃത്തുക്കളും എല്ലാ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളിലും സഹകരിക്കുമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു.
Read out the main points she was telling. I think the research field is undergoing so many changes for past few years. For the past 1.5 years, these changes are really visible, particularly after the implementation of the NEP 2020. And a committee will be formed every year to analyze the research set of scholars. It aims to eliminate the scholars. Workload for scholars to teach the students. Actually, it's already been implemented in the Sanskrit University, where scholars are requested to teach the students, replacing the guest lecturers there. And also there are some guidelines of what we call like after doing UG program we can enter into PhD. Like in Kerala Technological University, it is if we have a 7.9 or 7.8 something CGPA, then you can directly end up to PhD. Similar kind of things are happening in universities. So what she was telling is after degree doing research is the students have not much knowledge about the topic. Actually, research is a field where in-depth knowledge of a particular subject is needed. It will not be there if a degree student is directly entering into a PhD. And she was mentioned about the fellowship that is available in Kerala universities. It is only 13,000 rupees fellowship per month, and which is, we know, 13,000 per month is very inadequate for doing the PhD work. And also the fellowship granting, when we get admitted, it will take very much delay for getting the initial fellowship, and when she entered into the Kerala University, actually took 1 year for getting the fellowship. And also she is doing her research in Malayalam subject. She is more concerned about the basics of Malayalam subject that is not being teaching the schools and colleges. She is very concerned about that also, and it is all mentioned in the NEP about this in the language section. These are what she was doing.
Thank you very much, Lakshmi and Shekhar Raji, for sharing their experiences here. Now let me invite Mr. Lokesh from Kuvempu University, Karnataka.
Hello, brother. My name is Lokesh Kumar, Kannada language, from the Kuvempu University, Kannada department. ಈಗ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ರೀತಿ ಬೇರೆ ವಾತಾವರಣ ಉಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲವು ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಸ್ ಅವರ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಸ್ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬೇರೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು 5 lakh 4 lakh ಅದನ್ನೇ ಡೀಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು ಗ್ಯಾಜೆಟಿ PhD ತಗೊಂತಾರೆ. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ವರ್ಕ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡಲ್ಲೇ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು PhD ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ವ್ಯಾಲಿಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನಂದರೆ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ಯಾಜೆಟ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು PhD ತಗೋಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ದುಡ್ಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು, ಎಂಥ PhD ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ತಗೋಬೋದು. ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್, ಈಗ PhD ಆಗಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅದರ್ಸ್ ಲೈಫಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಲೈಫ್ ಇದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ 3% ರಿಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಬೆಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಒಂದೊಂದು ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂಟರ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ 24 ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಗಳು ಒಂದೊಂದು ರೀತಿ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ 22 ಇದ್ದರೆ ಮೈಸೂರು ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ 30, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ 35, ಈ ರೀತಿ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತೇನು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ PhD ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಓನ್ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮನೆ ಈಗ PhD ಸರ್ ಗೈಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಗೈಡ್ ಮನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಗಳು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ನಾವು ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ವರ್ಕ್ PhD ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ದೆನ್ ವೆದರ್ ದೆನ್ ಬೈ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಓನ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಅದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
Thank you, Mr. Rajesh. I invite Hanumanth. Please come here and translate it in English.
Yes, just now Lokesh said about his experience regarding scholars' problems. One thing, there is a problem in studying scholars. Is about those who are giving money to his guide or his authorities to authority of some universities. Then only they will get PhD. He is telling approximately 5 to 6 lakhs rupees if one scholar student is given to authorities, then only they will give PhD. Again, he told that guiders, those who guide the PhD scholars, scholars should work for their home, their house works. They are used to do get his personal own works. Whatever their basic regular house activities, they have to go and do that work. They have to involve their guide for doing this type of activities. After that, they will see, yes, this is person very near to me. After that, they will give whatever possibilities, he will support the guide. And again, one more he is adding the point. There is a difference in our Karnataka, around 24 universities are there. All the 24 universities, different type of scholarship is given. Some universities giving 20, some universities giving 24, some universities giving 15,000. So he is telling in among all universities, they have to fix one major research scholarship amount for the research monthly. So he is having this card. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trivandrum, for translating. Now, let me invite Dr. Johnson White, postdoctoral fellow, Kerala University. Dr. Johnson White.
Respected dignitaries of the dais and dear student scholars. Myself, Dr. Johnson, doing now the postdoctoral fellowship with the University of Kerala. I hope that the PDF postdoctoral fellowship is also connected with the PhD activities. So I think I am also being a part of this program. Now, today's seminar is on the impact of NEP on the research aspects. So, a lot of good talks have been given by the dignitaries here, and also many talks from the audience side also give more concern on these aspects. So now I focus on some of my experience in this aspect. Actually, I am doing my postdoc, and my research is from 2011 to 2018, 4 years in the College of Engineering, Trivandrum. At that time also I faced a lot of difficulties, like that one of the participants has mentioned here, that while doing research in a university or in a college here, we are forced to do some teaching internships or teaching assistants. Then only they will give the fellowship to us. So we know that the research area is a different thing and it needs a lot of reading and thinking. But the teaching that we are giving is totally a different field. So our thinking area or that process is divided. So we can't focus or concentrate on that. That is one thing. And the major thing that is faced here is the honorary or fellowship given to the students, research scholars. For me, actually, I am a faculty in an engineering college. Due to the interest in research only, I quit that job and doing my postdoc here. I prefer University of Kerala because it's very near to me. I am living in Trivandrum only, so it will help my family to protect that also. But the honorary or fellowship given to me is only just 20,000 rupees only. It's actually a shocking amount, because now even an unskilled labor in our state will get more than this. So how can I manage this with my family also? That's a major problem. I think that is why the reason many of the students, even if he is interested in research, are not ready to go research. So that's a major problem. Then why our society will survive or society will improve? So the government should give more funding as compared to any other students area or any other sector. Research is very, very important. So it has now the NEP is also coming. So the situations are more worsening. that will worsen more. And in our university, some other things like the infrastructure is almost good because the Kerala University will get a lot of funding. There are a lot of buildings and the online database or there etc. Everything is very excellent. But the only thing that I face is the lack of amount. So I think that may be the main issue or concern for majority of the students or participants here. So anyway, I will not speak it not in detail. It's a good opportunity from the DRSO to convene these dignitaries, the famous dignitaries from around our country, and we get an opportunity to share our concerns to these people also. And I think this may be a starting point. We need a lot of conferences, seminars, protests, etc. So many things to raise this issue to the authorities. Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you, Johnson boy. Actually, you focus with the ground reality. A research scholar who is doing his research in a university, local university or state or central level universities. So they are facing so many problems, particularly speaking regarding the fund issues, scholarship issues, stipend issue, and the teaching assistant issue, and the orders from the direct supervisor, co-supervisor, and etc. What you are placing in the points, totally the truth and the reality level problems. Thank you so much, Dr. Johnson Boyce. Now I request Anjali S. from Annur University.
Respected dignitaries, so first of all, I taken the resolution. So I am from Kannur University, as mentioned. Like in my university, one of the major problems is there is no the permanent faculty's number is very low. Like most of them are guest faculty. So I am from anthropology department. So in my department, only 3 permanent faculty, and that is the only department in Kerala. That's the only anthropology department in Kerala. So that also face problems. Like it is really hard to get research gain. And even Kannur University, as you all know, that's a single. It's not a single campus. So our campus is like it's not a single campus university, and there is no reading rooms. And in my campus, we have only library till 7 p.m. and only in my subject only 3,000 books are allowed in the library. So it is really difficult to do research in such scenarios. And also the scholars are not getting fellowship properly. The gap is 10,000 and it is not getting properly. And also for in social science, for example, Swami Vivekananda scholarship is there for single girls, but it's not properly getting in the university. And another issue is like Mahalakshmi ma'am mentioned in the inauguration section about the quality of research and like the problem of like the coursework analysis. In PG we have only one paper in methodology, and when we are doing research, when research papers are presenting, we can see the methodological problems like is it the schedule, should use questionnaire schedule, such kind of problems are there. So like basic problems can be seen in the whole research. And even it's like, so researchers like, it is easy to get published in UGC, KRS corpus if you have enough money. So they don't have to concentrate on like, is it, how to use the methodology and how to conceptualize the topic, and also these kind of problems are there. And it's not the problem of research scholars because they are not getting proper methodological classes in PG or like in the course time. So that is there. now MPhil process is no more. So the result, those who have passed in 2020, the result is withheld, which is not even passed the result. So they are facing, they don't know what to do next. And yeah, these are the problems faced by our university. And also the Pro Vice Chancellor recently made a statement about social science subjects in Kannur University, because he said that it is not providing enough job, it's not providing enough job placements. So it is so we are keeping these subjects like history, anthropology, mass communication, Malayalam, all these subjects only to protect those subjects. So it is very problematic. So in that situation, how they promote the research in these subjects. So and also in anthropology, the problem is the UGC. There is only one net for anthropology, for MSc anthropology, archaeological anthropology, social anthropology, and linguistic anthropology. So it is really difficult to crack those who are from social science background, because the most of the net questions are from biological anthropology. So if you search all over India, you can see the enrollment in social anthropology is very less as compared to biological anthropology because of this. So I second this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali. Yes, what you told exactly correct. The removal of MPhil is not at all acceptable, I feel, because it's a fundamental course in order to perform the PhD course in excellent manner. Then it's very much necessary to do the MPhil course. What you told, it's correct. Thank you, Anjali. Now let me invite Megha Surendra, Shri Chitira, Tirumala Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology. Trivandrum.
Respected dignitaries, actually I belong to a science background and I'm doing a biological research and basic biochemistry student. You see, those points which are come here already belong to areas in humanities or arts and other areas. The problems that we face in science research is not at all mentioned, for that hasn't come yet. Actually, there are two fields in science research, which is basic research and applied research, and the problems that students face in these two streams are entirely different. The basic science students or the science scholars who work in basic science research are facing the problems like it's not at all supported by the NEP and all the authorities in different agencies like CSIR, UGC or BST, DBT, whatever it is. It's not being supported because there is no outcome. When we do research in science and finally we submit our thesis and go for an open defense, the final and the most important question that we have to face is what is the outcome, what is the output of your research. And that output means nothing but what is the product that we are going to deliver to the society as a commercially available product, not as an idea, not as a theory, not as a principle. It should be a commercially viable product that you have to present to the society after you finish a PhD. That is true for both basic research as well as the applied research. I work in a field which is biomedical and it's truly interdisciplinary, where we use chemistry, biology, physics and all the subjects and we do research over there. And when we finally present our cases and go for open defense, we will be asked which is the product that we are going to commercialize in the market, so that will be useful for the society. Yeah, it's true that in biomedical research it's a huge necessity of the country that we need indigenous products, where we are using certain biomedical devices for the patients who are suffering so much in the hospitals, and those devices that is being used are having big costs, and we have to pay lakhs and crores for the patients who are so poor in their financial background. In that aspect, we need an indigenously developed products for the country. That's true. But when we, personally myself has come to the field of biomedical research with a dream that I can develop something for the society and give to the people around and serve the people who are, serve the patients who are suffering in the hospital or with their diseases or chronic conditions. But what we actually face, the real ground reality is that when we come with such a dream and the infrastructure, the facilities, the instruments and all the facilities that we have in our laboratory is too poor that we can attain the dream that we have come up in the beginning stage of our research. So finally, we are forced to compromise with the hypothesis. We are forced to compromise with our objectives and come up with somehow we have to formulate something that we will be dreaming something very big, and finally we will be coming out of something like too small. That's the ground reality of applied science research in India, basically biomedical research in India. So one more thing I have to point out in this aspect is, recently our government has come up with a new idea that GEM, which is government e-marketing. In that case, all the institutes, particularly my institute and all the other national institutes like CSIR running institutes and all the research institutes are forced to buy all the chemicals, all the instruments and all the apparatus through the GEM. This GEM is nothing but a place where we will get products or the chemicals or the instruments which are developed in India. And what we came to know at the final stage of GEM is that all the products that we are getting is of low quality. Whatever is coming in the name of Make in India is coming with a low quality. So we are doing research with chemicals of low quality, poor quality, poor purity, and with the poor purity chemicals, what all outcome that we can attain, I know. So particularly we here in our institute are facing for the scholars, not only the scholars, even the scientists are facing the problem with the GEM, where they are forced to buy products from the Make in India project and getting products of very low quality, and we are forced to at the same time we are being instructed to do high quality research for developing indigenous biomedical products for the suffering patients. I am truly worried the products which we develop in our institute through our PhD programs or through our biomedical projects. If it comes to the patients in our own country, I don't know what their situation will be. I am truly worried about that. So that is the reality or the ground reality with this Make in India, and they are telling about the output-based research and it should be indigenously supported. That word indigenously is very, I don't know, whenever I hear the word indigenous, I feel so worried and tensed because it's truly going to affect our country and other people and particularly the patients of our country. So the quality of research that's being completely compromised, and that has to be taken into consideration and that has to be protested against. And also one more thing I have to point out is like recently I have been talking to some of my colleagues who couldn't come over here today. They were working under SCST projects which is being supported by DST, and it's been 11 months they were paid. I was talking to certain my friends who were about to resign from their PhD program because they are not getting fellowship for the last 11 years and they can't support their family, they can't run their own activities, and particularly for science students, even if we are JR fellows and we are getting promoted to SRF also, the contingency amount that we get for a month, for a year is only 20,000. For a chemistry student or for a biology or a physics student, to buy a chemical, the 20,000, buy a single chemical itself, the 20,000 will vanish off. If we once we decide to do a biological research and decide to buy one marker itself, that will cost around lakhs. So that with the contingency alone, we can't run a PhD program, and it needs lakhs. And if we are doing a project which is not immediately generating an outcome or a product, we won't be funded enough. And we are facing such a funding issues. And so in that perspective, even if we are, what would be the case of students, those who are not paid with their fellowship for 11 or 12 months? In that case, they are forced to resign from their PhD programs or their projects which they are running through. So there is a grave situation in our country, especially for the science students, I would say. kind of convention and the unity of scholars, especially from various institutes and universities. Students are being gathered and they are getting united. In that way, I think we can handle the program and raise our slogans and demands to the authorities and to the government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Surendra, for your valuable experiences and observations regarding research, interdisciplinary research, life sciences and physical sciences, particularly biomedical field, etc. Thank you so much for your valuable views. And now let me invite other scholars who wanted to place here. Please come here and place your views, observations, experiences, opinions regarding the main resolution. Any scholar from any university? Please introduce yourself and your area of research, university, state, and place your points.
Good afternoon, all of you. I am Dr. Sindhi Verghese. I have finished my PhD actually, but when I have applied for a postdoctoral fellowship, I could see that this postdoctoral fellowship women can apply, but there is some criteria that is laid with the majority of the research institutes. For example, they have to finish off submit the PhD, and within 3 years they have to apply for postdoctoral fellowship. And if it is after 3 years of submission of PhD, they are not permitted to apply for postdoctoral fellowship. So I consider that as a barrier. As a working woman and family, career, everything need to be taken together. So this 3 years means that will be a very small gap which women cannot reach at that level. So if the national institutes can keep that as a relaxation for women, it could be a better option so that more women can come to postdoctoral fellowship in different research institutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Definitely we will focus on this issue. Let me invite other thesis scholar. Voluntarily you can come here and place your opinion. And I request some faculty members also. We are along with the research scholars, faculty members also participating in this convention. Assistant professors, associate professors. So they may also come and share your views. Yes, sir, please. Introduce yourself and place your views.
Good afternoon, my name is Yoshi Maxwell. I'm a scholar, not a faculty, I'm a research scholar in management. I KTU, Government College and University. It's a place, college of management. As a scholars don't still persist in our institutes also. But another area that I would like to suggest I like to bring to the public or the dignitaries is that for applying for many national levels of fellowships, they have to publish guidelines. But we see the guidelines, set of guidelines that are published by NTA, the same guidelines when it has been published through the district side. We see the many keywords or many key guidelines need change. So one example slide was the national fellowship for OBC, and where, as well as I know, the initial all the fellow scholars who are actually got through the state university or the universities in the state admitted into the PhD program, they have their right to apply and get for the national fellowship. But unfortunately, what we see is that after these fellowships have been converted, their applicability has been changed to the NTA. It has been seen that now the scholars who are actually getting into the PhD program through state universities and will not be eligible for getting any especially national fellowship for OBC students. So because right they have stopped that procedure, and they will be only getting to, if you want to get a national fellowship, you have to write the NTA and you have to at least clear the NET exam. So those who are actually already got admitted into the PhD program will have again write another exam and get clear and get. This is something which is next week I think process in the site. So what happens is that the autonomy of the state side is also getting diluted, and students who are actually getting admitted into the state facilities are not getting enough funding support from the start. And likewise, one of the person has shown said, if one researcher needs to wishes to go for a postdoctoral fellowship, it has a limit for 3 years. But what now comes is that many of the researchers actually lose will have, after facing these kinds of funding issues and how they are able to start their research only after 2 or 3 years. So many of the people who are actually told their or used over here have at least spent 5 or 6 years. So it's the case with many of the scholars in our institute also, where they need to spend a lot of time. And it's not for the research reason, but for the funding kind of a reason. But in my case, I had to even at the initial stage, after not getting the enough fund, I even had to, at the first stage itself, where one researcher should be very motivated in continuing the research, I and many of the other scholars who found difficulty getting the fellowship really thought in the mind that we continue our research or not. So that very, very positive mind that should happen at the very initial stage itself is put out at the very initial stage itself. And many institutes, since they are coming under the accreditation process, since the research is valued as a point, they are forced to take more number of scholars, but they are not able to give fellowship for all of them. That is another side case. So the institutes or the universities will be interested in taking more number of scholars from their accreditation part, but after taking that, many of the scholars or full-time scholars are not able to get the fellowship either in the university, as well as these other this national fellowship process that I have told. Since that process, now they cannot even apply for the national fellowships. So these are some of the points that are quite quickly noted. This one can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable comments. Now let me invite Mr. Rajit Nachu, KTU University, Kerala, and the State Convener, DRSU, Kerala Chapter.
And my research in civil engineering in Trivandrum University. Actually, the problems the research community is facing, already we have the other scholars have placed. There are some points that we are also facing. And the KTU has issued a regulation for giving fellowship to only 100 scholars. They are limited just to 100 scholars, and if anyone is any scholar who is taking admission after this 100, they will not get any fellowship. Also, regarding the fellowship issue, the newly joined scholars, they are not even getting the scholarship. It's been 6 months. Whenever they had the representations and submissions or to the officials, they are keep on telling like first they are telling like some clerical mistake, then at the end they have told that the government is not funding. It is the main issue that the government is not funding for the fellowship. And also a recent regulation has came which allowed the BTech student with some 7.8 CGPA can enter into the PhD directly. It will be implemented from the next academic year, and it is going to happen. That is the main issue in our.
Thank you very much, Ajit, for placing the technological students issue. Now let me invite Dr. Arjo Das, DRSO National Council General Secretary and Postdoctoral Fellow, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Hyderabad campus. Dr. Arjo Das.
Thank you, Dr. for inviting me. Honorable dignitaries, the DRSO National Council and state organizers, and my scholar and student friends who are participating in this program. So I am audible because my voice is a bit low. Okay, I try to continue. So just first one confession that I know I have to speak, so I have some certain plans. But after hearing all of you, suddenly you got scattered and changed. So my mind is slightly disoriented because some of the experience that you have shared is also new to me. And it keeps happening that whenever we go to new places, interact with new scholars, we suddenly come up with new things that we perhaps did not imagine in the scenario. For example, I find it very hard to imagine that a faculty or a department is asking for some 5 or 6 lakh rupees for providing a PhD, for which the research scholar has been working for 5 or 6 years. This is very difficult to imagine. I think many of you have seen, I don't know if you have heard of the TV series Top Show. You may have heard. So there is an episode on research. So that is quite interesting. And when I was in, I was in my, I think, high school or college. And there you can see the teacher, he just asked his PhD student to do the work for his home and cleaning, marketing and all these things. And in return he said that okay, you don't have to do work much, but I will give you a PhD, but you work in my home only. And practically the flop show is flop because it is not entirely true. The research scholar has to do full-time work and also have to do full-time work in their home. In many cases, that is absolutely not. So, the first thing that came to my mind when I was sitting there listening to all of you is that, for example, all those faculties, see, one thing I must make clear that we are not against faculty, there is no scholar versus faculty. But I am just trying to think of the situation where you can imagine that say now you are a student, many of you are not research scholars, many of you will become a teacher. You imagine all those teachers, they also had students some point of time. So what makes them change? What makes them behave like this when they go to the other side of the table? We need to reflect upon this very seriously. I think there is something fundamental in the system. I think Manav at the very beginning mentioned of that. He mentioned that scarcity is the basis of competition. Scarcity is also the basis of corruption. Think of it. It is not only you and me who choose to be corrupt, but you and me become corrupt. So you need to identify the system and mechanism of the procedure that connected from my student life to my faculty life, that or administration life that makes up a scholar, and what is responsible behind that. I think if we really able to reflect upon this, that is one point of success of this convention. I request you for this is my first point. The second point, I need not repeat all the problems and issues we have discussed. We have discussed in great detail, and also it has been a learning experience for me. I have been in research movement for 10 years, and in the 10 years, every day I learn new things. So at least I am doing my PhD in physics. In physics, there had been some stretches in weeks or months when nothing is going, you study nothing, you learn nothing, you are just black out. But when I am talking to research scholars, working for research movement, everywhere I learn. So I am a genuine research scholar in this sense. I can feel. And today is no exception. And today I learned quite a lot. And one thing I learned again, that all of you that you mentioned is a very happy thing for me, that you not only talked about your own problem, your personal issues. You connect your personal issues to the systemic problems. That is very important, that many of us literally fail to do. But the persons who are present here, this house, is really a jewel, I must say. So one thing I felt that this is a convention of impact of May 2020 on higher education and research. So you can see that there are some 5 or 6 demands charted at the end of this main resolution, and many points we have told. For example, we are talking of fellowship, right? There is fellowship disparity, some get 0, some get 5,000, some get 6,000, some get 8,000, some get 15, 20, 31. All are doing PhD, but there is a spectrum of fellowship. So that is one issue. Another issue is that even if you have a fellowship, you don't know when you will get. You get in June 2023, the next fellowship may be in June 2024, so you don't know. Then, I am not repeating, I am just saying the spectrum of the problem that has come. The important question someone placed here is that, okay, somehow you survive your PhD, somehow you toil through it and complete your degree, what next? You don't know. So what information you have left? Someone told you come up with a dream to serve the society. Most of the research scholars, they have left out a lot of options. They could have easily went to any other field and survive just like any other certain person. But you choose to be in research field to produce knowledge or to produce technology, to produce something that could be useful. Now there is a quote unquote useful. What do you mean by useful? So here an important thing came up, that the policy has a certain interpretation of being useful. If you produce something that you can sell directly or indirectly, that is useful for the system, and the policy is only promoting that. That is true, say for last 20 years or more than that. And the New Education Policy 2020 has taken it in a step. The New Education Policy 2020 has provided a mechanism in which everything that is useless will be completely stopped. So now what is useless? For example, someone is studying community research. Of course it is useless. You are not going to sell. Of course, if you write a book, you can sell and it may be useful for you. You will make some money. By someone says that some manipulating people's emotion, you write a novel and the novel makes a cut, the novel makes a movie, and now it is useful for you. But what is for the society? I am doing completely basic science. I am a perfectly useless person to the policy makers. Perfectly useless. Whatever I am doing, I don't see next 50 years it's going to be implemented. Some people argue that, okay, whatever doing basic science, it will be implemented in some next 20 years. So, okay, if you wait, in your lifetime you will see something. I am claiming that I am not going to see something that I am working right now to be implemented in my lifetime. As you know, I am not living up to 100 years. So I am useless. After 50 years, the world will change. So no he will remember. So what point? So I should be summarily rejected from the system. Now here an important question comes. Like for example, imagine 400 years back. You have heard of Giordano Bruno, you have heard of Copernicus and all. In that time they were useless. They are looking at the stars. What they are doing? Nothing. I mean, they are doing some hypophysics and they make some priests angry and get themselves killed. So what is? So here I think one important question we need to ask, that what is useful for a human? That utility for an animal is surviving. Humans don't survive, they also live. It is my belief. And I think you on behalf of DRSO, go ahead with this belief on me, that we live like a human. And if you ask what made us human, then I think you will get some answer to literature and basic science and what is useful for that. And don't you think that the system, the state, the democratic government, whatever it be, is there to make us more and more human, to make us live with more human dignity? If it is there, then we have to ask a counter question, right? And you decide what the question should be. It is your choice. So we are here, to be honest, to make a choice, right? You see, we have been campaigning for more than 1 month. A lot of students, lot of faculties, we have been talking. Lot of teachers, lot of research aspirants who want to come to research, but they are really afraid that what the future is in front of them. Some of them, they have the opportunity to have a good career if they just go for a job, but they are interested to do research. Why? Because I am interested to understand this particular problem. What use he or she does not ask. He or she wants to pursue that because, first of all, it gives him or her a satisfaction, and this satisfaction is not mere personal satisfaction. He or she knows that if the answer is found, that will take the human knowledge ahead, in other words, humanity ahead. But because of this uncertainty put in front of his path, he might not have a future, he might not get fellowship, his family might suffer, he is not going to that path. So what is suffering? By obstructing this path, the entire society is suffering. So here we have to make a choice, I believe, that whether we just want to listen everything, understand, clap and go back home, or whether we are here to become unite and resist. So there are 3 things on the list of issues that many of you have discussed. The second thing is how these are connected to the policies and the output of the government. And the third thing is what we are going to do. In the convention, we are here to connect all these 3 things: problems, policies, and my stand. Every one of us is going to take my own stand today in this convention and go back not to the home but to the campus and, if necessary, to the street to build up a resistance. That is my only call. So I will not elaborate on the policies. There are eminent people who are academicians and working for a long time on these policies, and you get enlightened in detail what it really entails. But at the end of the day, it is us who have to make a choice. And I appeal you to make this choice. That's all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Albertus, for your remarks. Now, before the conclusion of this session, I would like to recollect the great Indian pioneer in science and philosophy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar's quotation, that is, Vedanta and Sankhya are the false systems of philosophies. We have to develop and we have to enrich the alternative sound philosophy, which is basing on the scientific methodology. Yes, DRS is agreeing, and we are carrying forward the philosophy of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray, Meghna Saha, Einstein, Madam Marie Curie, and other great scientists and philosophers. And let me once again extend my sincere thanks to today's session visiting and today's inaugurator, Professor R. Mahalakshmi Madam, for her concern and patience, and the speakers of academic session, Professor L. Jawahar mentioned sir, Professor Ramesh Nandumkar sir, and Dr. Malavika Bindinan, and Professor K.P. Saji sir, and etc. And finally, I would like to thank all the scholars who participated actively, emotionally in this scholars session. Once again, on behalf of DRSO All India Committee, I extend my sincere thanks to all participants from different universities across the South India. Thank you very much. Let me conclude the session here now. And one announcement, and the academic session will start soon 2 p.m. and before that we have to complete our